Welcome everyone to a brand new season of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. The wait is finally over and I am very excited to welcome you to a surprisingly dry Monza. My name's Chris McCarthy. It is an absolute privilege to be back to call you through the second running of this absolutely fantastic championship. A championship that exploded into the feeder series scene last year with over 40 drivers competing, and this year 37 drivers signed up, more than what we had for the first round last year. We are expanding all the time, and the drivers there you can see in pit lane getting ready to go out onto the circuit. Well, it was supposed to be a complete washout at Monza this weekend. For those of you watching the action at Imola, or Swimola as it was called, that weather was supposed to hit us this morning. It hasn't yet, but it is due to be on the way. So for now, we are going to be running in dry conditions. How long that will be for, I am not too sure. Well, there has been some changes to the series this year, as some of you may know. For some of you who haven't been quite up to speed with that, I'll talk you through those now. We have introduced a push-to-pass system this year. Overtaking was a little bit difficult for the drivers at some tracks last year. So to provide some more racing action for the drivers and for you guys at home, the organisers have introduced a push-to-pass system which the drivers can use up to 5 times per race. They push a button on the steering wheel and it gives them extra power for up to 15 seconds. That power will last until they hit the brakes. Tyres, we've also changed to a slightly softer compound with Pirelli, so the tyres are going to be a little bit harder to manage in terms of degradation. The drivers are going to have to look after the tyres a little bit more, which will give them a little bit better practice for stepping up to FIA F3, for example. And in qualifying, they will have less laps to get their laps in. We're also going to have a split qualifying system, so when you'll see some drivers out of the car doing their shoes, that's because not all of them are going to be out in this session. So how's that going to work? Well, yesterday in the second collective test, the drivers who finished first, third, fifth and so on have been put into Group A, and the drivers who finished second, fourth, sixth and so on have been put into Group B. They will both go out and do 15 minutes of qualifying each. The quickest group will form the inside row of the grid for race number 1, and the slower group will form the outside row of the grid. Tomorrow, then, Group B will go out first and Group A will go out second. So that just levels things out because, of course, going out second means you get a little bit more rubber down on the circuit when we are in dry conditions. So Group B drivers will be out first tomorrow. The groups will stay exactly the same. Now, going forwards in the championship, the groups will be split by where you are in the championship. So the championship leader, third in the championship, fifth in the championship, so on, will be in Group A. Second, fourth, sixth and so on in the championship will go into Group B, and that is how it will work at every single race this season. It was a decision from the teams. The teams were the ones who really pushed for this to happen. They wanted the drivers just to have a little bit more space out there on track. We've got to remember there are 37 drivers signed up for the championship this year, 37 racing this weekend. So, yeah, when we get to tracks like Red Bull Ring, it's going to be incredibly congested. So, a sensible decision perhaps just to split the drivers up into separate groups. Very excited, though, to welcome you to a brand new season. As you may have seen, the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine has been a huge success. 9 drivers made the step up to FIA F3 this season, including our champion, Gregoire Saucy. And we've already seen 2 of those drivers who stepped up take pole position this season in Franco Colapinto and Zane Maloney. So it's proved its success. But this year we welcome back a lot of drivers, but we also welcome a ton of new drivers as well. We're going to start here at Monza, then we will go to Imola in a couple of weeks' time. Monaco, we will be back there for an F1 support race. Then we will be at Paul Ricard, Zandvoort with the GT World Challenge. Then we will go to the Hungaroring. That's the only new circuit on the calendar this year, which swaps in for Valencia. Then we go to Spa, where we will be supporting the Spa 24-hour. Then the Red Bull Ring, then Barcelona, and we will end at Mugello. Drivers out on circuit. It will take them a couple of laps to get those tyres up to temperature. We have a lot of champions on the grid this year. Let's go through some of them. So we have the Spanish F4 champion, Delano Van Hoff, the French F4 champion, Esteban Masson, the USA F4 champion, Noel Leon, a Red Bull Junior. We also have the FRECA vice champion back in Hadrian David, the Italian and ADAC F4 vice champion in Tim Tramnitz, and the British F4 vice champion in Matthias Zagazzetta. We have third in FRECA last year in Paul Aron, and then third in French F4 as well in Maceo Capietto, and a ton of drivers who of course were racing out in the Formula Regional Asia Championship a little bit earlier this year. Right, this is group number A. Who are we going to be seeing out in it? As I said, this is the group that was split through practice 2 yesterday. These are the drivers who finished first, third, fifth, and so on. So in this group, we will see the returning Michael Belov. Had a really good season last year, finished in the top 10 despite missing the first 4 rounds of the season. Paul Aron, who finished third in the championship, is in this group, as is our reigning vice champion, Hadrian David. Joshua Dirksen, the driver from Paraguay, who was racing for Arden Motorsport this year, who's been going very, very well in practice. He's in the number 10. Dino Beganovic, who took pole here last year in the wet conditions, he's out there in the 18. Dudu Barrichello, who makes this switch across to Arden Motorsport this year, he is in the 91. Noel Leon, the Red Bull Junior, is in the 19. The Mexican driver, the F4 USA champion. Gabriel Bortoletto, who has moved to R-Race GP, he is in the 85. Leonardo Fornaroli, who is in the new team Trident, one of 2 new teams along with RPM. Hamda Al-Khabaisi, new to the series, she's racing with Prema, she's in the 88. Esteban Masson, we talked a little bit about him earlier, French F4 champion, he is in the 9 for FA Racing. Roman Belinsky is out there in the 4 for Trident. Then we have Sebastian Montoya, he is out there in the number 58 for Prema. Pietro Deligawanti is with the new team RPM. He is in the 55. Owen Tangavello is in the number 92. Then we have Piotr Wisnicki in the 21. Lena Bula is out there in the 15. Of course, we welcome her back this year. Francesco Braschi is in the 28. And Levente Revets is in the number 11. So drivers just getting tyres up to temperature, as you can see. Just coming down the back straight at the moment. Just we'll go through a little bit more of the transfers that we have had this year. So Prema, Sebastian Montoya, Hamda Al-Khabaisi have joined the team this year, moving up from Italian F4. Trident, brand new to the grid, hugely successful racing in the likes of FIA F3 and F2. They're new to the grid this year. They welcome Roman Belinsky from GB3, Tim Tramnitz from Italian and ADAC F4, and Leonardo Fornaroli, who's moved up from Italian F4. Monolite Racing, all brand new drivers, all rookies in their team this year. They've extended and are going to be running 3 drivers all season. So they bring Maceo Capietto up from French F4, Pietro Armani up from Italian F4, and Han Chen Yu up from Italian and ADAC F4. G4 Racing bring up the British F4 vice champion Matthias Zagazzetta and Owen Tangavello up from French F4. FA Racing, all brand new drivers in for them. They've got Esteban Masson up from French F4. Victor Bernier has come up from ADAC F4, finished 4th in that last year. Nicolas Baptiste comes up from Italian F4. As I said, Arden Motorsports have got Joshua Dirksen, who was top 10 in Italian F4 last year. They've brought the F4 USA champion Noel Leon over from the States, and Dudu Barrichello has switched across from JD Motorsport, who have left the championship. Van Amersfoort Racing have brought in Levente Rivets this year, who moves up from Italian F4. Josh Dufek comes up from the same championship, and Kaz Havercourt moves across from MP Motorsport. R-Race GP, the only team to have drivers who raced all of last season, so definitely one to watch this year. Lorenzo Fluxer comes across from Van Amersfoort, Gabriel Bortoletto across from FA Racing. MP Motorsport, all drivers in their team carry fresh experience of some sort. Megatuniff did the last 2 rounds last year with R-Race GP. Belov comes across from G4, and Delano Van Hoff raced with the team in the last 3 rounds last season. KIC, they have the luxury of having 3 drivers who worked together last year. So their lineup is full of drivers who raced with Genza Motorsport in the Italian F4 Championship last year in Piotr Wisnicki, Francesco Braschi and Santiago Ramos. ART Grand Prix bring up a new driver who will be having his first ever race in a single-seater car in Lawrence Van Hopen, race for the Leclerc by Lennox Racing Team. In karting last year, Mari Boyer has made the switch from Van Amersfoort. And then RPM, brand new team, we'll talk about them in more detail as we go on. Pietro Deligawanti has made the switch from Monolite, and Keith Donegan, who's part of running that team, will race for them as well. Okay, let's talk more times, because we're halfway through this session. We are watching Levente Rivets on screen in the number 11 as he powers his way down towards the Ascari chicane. Levente Rivets just making his way up to Ascari now, so he looks like he's going to set the benchmark time for us. Levente Rivets racing for Van Amersfoort Racing. One thing to get used to is going to be some new colours as well on the cars. We'll go through those when we see them. FA Racing come in with a slightly new livery. But let's talk through the times. Levente Rivets is going to give us our benchmark time. In the test yesterday, 1:46.7 from Paul Aron was quickest in the test 1, and 1:46.5 from Belov was quickest in test 2. So 1:46.5 is our benchmark time from yesterday, but the track was a little bit wet this morning, so I don't think we're going to quite see those times. Rivets does a 1:49.8. Michael Belov, we wait to see him. He looks like he's going along well. Likewise at Bortoletto as well. Timing screen's absolutely lighting up, so it's going to get very busy. Here is Owen Tangavellu for G4 Racing, makes his way round the final corner now and up towards the start-finish line. The driver up from French F4. Let's see what he can do for his first real flying lap in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. 1:49.7 for him. Wisnicki goes up to 5th place, and now the times come flying in. Dirksen has gone quickest, but that's immediately beaten by Deligawanti. Beganovic now top, 1:48.082. Fornaroli goes second. Aron up to the top now. Bortoletto goes quickest, 1:47.7 for him. We're still waiting for more drivers to come across the line. Belov, we're still waiting to see him. Montoya likewise as well. We're still waiting to see a respectable time from him. He now goes 9th place, but Bortoletto has gone quickest there with a 1:47.718. Many expecting Gabriel Bortoletto to fight for the title this year. Had a really strong season last year, went particularly strong towards the end of the year, and Gabriel Bortoletto in that 85 R-Race GP has gone quickest with a 1:47.7. Dino Beganovic is second, Dudu Barrichello is third, Paul Aron is fourth, Fornaroli fifth, then Dirksen Hadrian David seventh, reigning vice champion, but he's going quickest on this lap, as is Montoya, as is Belinsky. Masson going a little bit slower, but Belov has just set the quickest first sector as well. Roman Belinsky, one of many drivers who was going quicker, but he's gone a little bit slower through that second sector as he now makes his way down the back straight towards the Parabolica as they make their way down. Everyone trying to find a toe. You can see the idea is splitting them up into 2 groups was to give them a bit more space, but as Kaz Havercourt said to me, we're all still going to find each other on track, because a toe, as Dino Beganovic told me, is worth up to 0.6 to a second, so that's how much you can gain. That's why they are so desperate for it. Bielinski's gone up into sixth place. Are we going to see any more changes? Yes, Dino Beganovic quickest at the top, 147.093. Fornaroli goes second, 147.654. Brilliant time there from Dino Beganovic, and we look at him now, the Swedish driver who went very well here last year. He was also quickest at the pre-season test here as well. Time deleted for Paul Aron, who was up in sixth. So your new top 10 is Beganovic, Fornaroli, Bortoletto, David in fourth, Belov in fifth, Barrichello, Aron, Bielinski, Leon and Massov. I remind you, this is the first of two groups. This will decide what row they start on. Whether it will be the outside row or the inside row of the grid, we will find out when we have the completion of the next group. But this decides what row of the grid they start on. So every place worth a huge amount as we now work our way down to Ascari. We are following Dino Beganovic for Prema, looking for nothing less than the championship win this year. That's what he told me yesterday. And so far, so good in this first qualifying session. He's absolutely flying as he comes round Ascari now. Half a second up on his current time as they make their way down to the final corner, but also going quicker out there. Michael Belov is on a good lap. Bortoletto is on a good lap as well. Fornaroli is on a pretty good lap now as they come into the final corner. But Dino Beganovic finding more time than anyone else. A bit of a slide coming through Parabolica as he makes his way up to the start-finish line. He's got a good toe here. Dirksen's just gone up to 7th. Tangavellu up to 10th. And Beganovic once again going quicker, 146.740. Pietro Deligoanti for the new team RPM has just gone up to third. Brilliant time for him, 147.695, but it's immediately beaten. Hadrian David has gone up to second place, so the reigning vice champion up to second, and Michael Belov goes third. Sebastian Montoya has gone to 7th place. Hamder Al-Kabasi, first time we've seen her make a presence in this session, and she has gone to 10th place. She'll be happy with that, and she's got time to improve it. Piotr Wisnicki is improving a little bit further down the field. He's currently 18th, but he's starting to improve. Paul Aron is improving on this lap as well, as is Fornaroli. They might get one more lap in after this one. Maybe just some of them will squeeze one more lap in. We're following Dino Beganovic still. This is the man who leads the way, but I can tell you, Michael Belov is challenging a little bit. Fornaroli likewise. Dino Beganovic, though, 6/10 clear of the rest of the field. Spotting that is Joshua Dirksen. That was him in the 10 there. He slotted in behind Beganovic now to try and get a toe from him as he sets up for his last flying lap. So Beganovic 6/10 clear of the rest. Then it's David and Belov. 9/10 back is Leonardo Fornaroli. Deligoanti 5th. Then Bortoletto, Montoya, Barrichello, Dirksen and Al-Kabasi. No big improvements coming in on this lap. Al-Kabasi, I have to say, actually is going along really well. She's on to maybe jump up into the top 5. In fact, Paul Aron, apologies, that is up on to jump into the top 5 potentially. Wisnicki jumps up into 16th place. Roman Bielinski goes 5th, and there we go. Paul Aron, as predicted, up into the top 5. He goes 5th. He's got one more lap now to try and improve it. Checkered flag is now waving. First ones to cross the line. I think Masson might have been the first to take the flag there. I think maybe just got across the line, but all the Group B drivers will now be getting themselves ready. But checkered flag is now waving, and drivers will be on their last flying lap. Hamder Al-Kabasi has come into the pit lane. No one improving through the first sector so far. There's Paul Aron, who just jumped up into 5th, and he's gone second quickest through the first sector. So he's on for a pretty good lap here. Will be keen to get into the top 3, I'd say. Would be wanting to lead the way in this session ideally, but the Estonian, I think, would take a top 3 finish and a top 5 finish overall if this were to be the quicker group. There's the 72 of Fornaroli. We won't see him going any quicker in this session. Joshua Dirksen a little bit further down the field is potentially going to be challenging for a top 5. So 5th quickest of anyone through the first 2 sectors, and Gabriel Bortoleto flying on this lap as well. He's 3rd quickest, so ones to watch on this lap. Bortoleto and Dirksen and Aaron as well. In fact, Aaron has slowed up through the 2nd sector, so the main ones to watch are Bortoleto and Barrett and Dirksen. Those are the 2 that are improving as we come through the final corner. We wait to see if Bortoleto and Dirksen can improve. Both of them look set to go into the top 5. Aaron has slowed up through the 2nd sector as we now come up towards the line. Will we see any of those improve? Aaron stays 5th, Bortoleto goes 4th. We did see him improve. Dirksen didn't improve, sadly. So Bortoleto, the only one to improve on that final lap, and that is the end of the first group, first qualifying session in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Well, Dino Beganovic, quickest of anyone by half a second. Absolutely fantastic performance from the Swedish driver there. Over half a second quicker than Michael Belov. Hadrian David finishes in 3rd place. There he comes into the pits. Very, very happy with that one. Is Dino Beganovic took 1 pole position last year, and that was at this circuit. Can he take his 2nd pole position in his FRECA history? So Dino Beganovic over half a second quicker than anyone, but we still have another group to go. The quickest time in that one, as I make a quick note, a 1:46.740. That's the time now to beat, and that's the man who set it. The track was getting quicker all the time though, wasn't it? So you'd expect Group B have a bit of a better chance to go quicker here, but as I said, tomorrow Group B will be out first. So if we have the same situation tomorrow, roles will be reversed. Let's go through the full order though before it refreshes. So Dino Beganovic, half a second quicker than anyone. Michael Belov there in 2nd place. He'll be happy with that. Hadrian David likewise in 3rd. Gabriel Bortoleto will start from row 4. Leonardo Fornaroli puts Trident in the top 10. Well done to him. 5th place in group. Paul Aaron will be disappointed with 6th. Montoya 7th, then Belinsky. Delegoanti for RPM was 9th, then Masson 10th. Then we had Joshua Dirksen, who looked set to improve on that final lap. He was 11th from Barrichello. Alcabasi, Leon, Wisnicki, Tangavello, Revets, Braschi, Lenabula down in 19th place. I've got to say, the Arden Motorsport drivers would have expected to be a little bit higher than that. They are 11th and 12th in that group. Given where they've been running in testing, they would have been hoping to be in the top 10 overall. So might be just a little bit disappointed. But Sir Joshua Dirksen's 1st ever qualifying in the championship. As for Dudu, that's his 1st ever qualifying with the team. Just his 2nd season racing in Europe as well. So plenty still to learn. Okay, let's talk Group B then. Gabriele Mini, one many are expecting to potentially win the championship this season. He won the Italian F4 championship back in 2020 and won it incredibly comfortably as well. He's going to be in this session along with his new teammate Mari Boyer, who had a brilliant season last year, proved particularly towards the end of the year that he could fight for wins and podiums. Took a podium and a rookie win on home soil at Valencia. He's going to be in this group in the number 64. Kaz Havercourt, who's made the switch across to Van Amersfoort Racing, will be in the 27. Spoke to Kaz yesterday. He said there's a real good energy within the team, given how well they're doing, having made that jump up to F2 and F3. Everyone's so motivated in that team. Of course, that team jumped up to F2 and F3 and went and took pole position with Franco Colapinto in the 1st race of the season in F3. And he said there's a real good energy in that team and based really close to the team as well. Home team for him and definitely feels at home there. So he's going to be in the 27. One to watch for sure. Sami Megatunev is in the number 17. Sami, who had a strong end to the season last year. He's going to be racing for MP Motorsport. He jumped in the championship for a few rounds with RAce GP. Went quite strongly. Let's see how he gets on this year. Delano Van Hoff will be his teammate, one of his teammates in that 77 Spanish F4 champion as well. Josh Dufek will be out there in the number 13 for Van Amersfoort Racing. Lawrence Van Hopen will be in the 42. Interesting one, Lawrence Van Hopen, jumping straight up from karting. So, doing a similar thing to what David Vidales did a couple of years ago when Vidales jumped up into the Formula Renault Euro Cup back in 2020. He'd come straight up from being a factory driver for the Tony Kart racing team in karting racing in the FIA and WSK Major Karting Championships. Lawrence Van Hopen has been a factory driver for the Leclerc by Lennox racing team in karting for the last couple of years. And rather than making the jump up to F4, he decided to stay on and race in KZ2, KZs, so did gearbox karting and has done very well at it as well. Finished third in the FIA Karting European Championship in the KZ2 category last year, so did very, very well. This is going to be his first ever race in a single-seater car though. He's going to be racing in the number 42. Matheus Zagazeta will be out there in the number 8 for G4 Racing. Makes the jump up from British F4. Spoke to Matheus yesterday. Said, you know, challenge. Of course, the big challenge for him this year is going to be learning the circuits. Racing around somewhere like Snetterton is a little bit different to racing around Monza. British fans will know what I'm talking about there. So hugely different are the tracks. He said the biggest thing jumping up from British F4 to Frecker, and in fact all the F4 drivers that I spoke to yesterday said this, is the physical aspect. It's a very heavy car, very physically demanding car, so you have to really up the amount of training that you're doing. And he said, yeah, particularly the first couple of tests he did, really did feel it. But Matheus Zagazeta, very, very happy, I have to say. Really enjoying himself out there, which is great to see. He's in the number 8. Tim Tramnitz is in the 70. Ran Ollie Bierman close on many of occasions in Italian and ADAC F4 last year. Has jumped up with Trident. One to watch this year, that's for sure, as is that team. Lorenzo Fluxa, who did very well in the Formula Regional Asia Championship, actually fought right towards the front there. He's in the 16. He's going to be racing with our race this year. So let's see how he gets on. Now, Keith Donegan, I guess you could call him, I feel I'm offending him, but he's a gentleman driver, if you like. Hasn't raced for a long time. Now, Keith Donegan is part of running the RPM team. That is his project. People might know him from Ginetta Juniors. He was vice champion in that back in 2013. Raced in Formula Fords as well, but also raced in the USF 2000 Championship in 2018. Got on the podium in that season as well. And it was during that season he made it public that being a team manager, running his own business, was his real passion. And since then, the Irishman has been working on this project, and he has launched the RPM team. He's been working with the team boss from JD Motorsport. He's based the team over in Italy as well. And RPM new to the grid this year. They've brought in Pietro Deligawanti, who did very well towards the end of last year. And Keith has jumped in the car as well. As I said, from the things he's done, things he's achieved, he's a very good driver. Just having to get used to, as I said, with the F4 drivers, the physical aspect of it again. But went very well in pre-season testing around here, actually. Was well inside the top 20 was Keith Donegan. Finished 15th at the pre-season test here at Monza. So good to have him in the championship. And their goal is to fight for race wins this season. Matteo Capietto is going to be in the number 5, out there racing for the Monolite team. And we have Victor Bernier in the number 12, racing for FA Racing. Finished 4th in the ADAC F4 Championship last year. I spoke to Victor yesterday. Seemed they were struggling just a little bit this weekend. Wasn't entirely happy with how things are going. There he is. But he was saying, you know, it's going to rain today. It hasn't quite happened. But let's see, it's a long season ahead. Victor Bernier, I got the impression from him that big goals for him this season. Really wants to fight for the top 10 in the championship and be the top rookie. That's his goal for this season. Let's see how he gets on. The FA Racing team did very well towards the end of last season, so there were good results in that team as the season goes on, that's for sure. Pietro Armani is going to be out there in the number 6 for Monolite Racing. Han Chen Yu is out there in the 24, the Chinese driver. Remember meeting him originally when he had moved over from China to race in the FIA Karting European Championships back in 2018. And he was racing for the KR team, the Kart Republic team at that point. Good to see that he's moved his way up into FRECA. Nicolas Baptiste is going to be out there in the number 35, racing for FA Racing. Finished in raced in Italian F4 last year, got a best result of 5th at the Red Bull Ring. Santiago Ramos will be out there in the number 68, racing for KIC Motorsport. Come with a fresh lineup this year, that team. He raced in Italian F4 last year, finished 22nd despite missing a couple of rounds. And Axel Noss is back this season in the number 7. And his teammates at G4 saying it's been good to have his experience in that team. The likes of Zagazeta saying they're able to learn from his experiences last year. Okay, let's talk times. It's about that time where we're going to see some benchmark times going down. 146.740 from Dino Begnovic is the one to beat. Kaz Havercourt got to be one of the favourites to potentially go and do that. Went very well in testing yesterday, was 6th in the second collective test. The top 10 in that second test were Belov, Boyer, Aron, Mini, David, Havercourt, Dirksen, Megatunev, Begnovic and Vanhoff. So a few of those top 10 out in this session. Of course, 5 of those top 10 out in this session. We're seeing the likes of Boyer, Mini, Havercourt, Megatunev, Vanhoff. They're all out in this session. All the even numbers from that session out in Group B. Okay, round the final corner, Kaz Havercourt. Let's see what he's got in this first flying lap. It's going to be the next 6 minutes to decide who's going to start on pole position for the first race of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. 148.6 so far, so we are a couple of seconds away, but we're still building up. Gabriele Mini in the number 46. Home race for him, was quickest in pre-season testing at the first 2 tests at Barcelona and at Paul Ricard as well. So they tried some things at Monza. 147.6 for him, but very, very happy overall. There's Lawrence Van Hopen in the number 42. Let's see how he gets on. We're going to see a lot of people locking up into that first corner. Driver saying you've got to be incredibly careful because the amount of force, because the brake bias they got to put in to the front of the car. They said the amount of force that goes through the front, it's just so easy to lock up. That's why we see a lot of drivers going straight on, particularly this chicane here, the Rogier chicane. Through the Lesmos, where you got to really feather the throttle. Those gravel traps come at you very, very quickly if you plant it. And that one of the things actually all the F4 drivers were saying in F4 you just basically go foot to the floor through the Lesmos. And this, they said you've got to really feather the throttle, and that is one thing a lot of the drivers enjoy the challenge of. Here's Josh Dufek in the number 13, just trying to find a toe as they all are. down the back straight now, and Gabriele Mini is starting to go quicker. We're a second away, 9/10 away in fact. Looks like we're going to halve that gap now. Here's Joshua Dufek. He's got the number 17 of Sami Megatunev behind him. Oh, Megatunev there just getting a little bit out of shape as they make their way down the start-finish straight now. Right, who are we going to see go where? We've got Van Hoff going very quickly out there. Megatunev has gone up into third place. Van Hoff to fifth. Boyer up to the top. 147.6 Mini. 147.5 for him. Tim Tramnitz has gone fourth. Fluxa has gone up to third place. Havercourt fifth. Capietto sixth, and it's Zagazzetta. Megatunev, who was delayed through that final corner. Then Van Hoff and Dufek goes up to 10th place. Just over a tenth between Mini and Boyer, but a very good lap there from Mari Boyer. He said they were doing race stints in the first session yesterday, and when they went for the quick times in the second one, said the car felt very good and they went second quickest overall. Let's see if they can beat that 146.7, 8/10 to find. Dino Beganovic will be watching on from the sidelines. Remember, this is to decide what row of the grid they start on. Doesn't matter if they're slower than that second group, just decides what row they start on. If they're the slower group, then the quickest driver will start on the outside of the front row. Down towards the Ascari chicane, Victor Bernier there in the blue colours. Here's Fluxa in the number 16, making his way through Ascari, finding a bit of a toe. Whoa, bit of a slide from, I think that was one of the Trident cars ahead as drivers make their way down the back straight. Havercourt has gone up to a second. Pietro Armani, good time from him, up to 10th place. Time's deleted for Megatunev, so that would have been track limits, I think, at the final corner. Axel Noss had the same thing, so we did see Megatunev going a bit wide coming out of the final corner, and that means you get not only that time deleted, but the next one as well. So that's a huge problem for him, as Lorenzo Fluxa, 147.087. Brilliant stuff from Fluxa. Mini has gone up into second, Havercourt to third, Boyer to fourth, Capietto to fifth, then Zagazzetta, Tramnitz, Van Hoff, Van Hopen, Nicholas Baptiste up into 10th place. Here's that slide from the number 17. Is that... No, that's Tim Tramnitz in the 70, wasn't it? Coming through Ascari. That's just in the dirty air through Ascari. You can run fairly close in these cars, but you can see just pushing a little bit too hard there, Tim Tramnitz. Still adjusting from moving up from F4, where that would have felt a little bit different. Running in 7th place so far. Okay, we're getting towards the business end of this session now. 147.087 is the quickest time from that man there. 3/10 to find. Who's going quicker? Josh Dufek going quicker. Sami Megatunev going quicker. We've yet to see him set a time because he's had his lap times deleted. So Dufek going quicker, Megatunev going quicker, Zagazzetta going quicker, Capietto going quicker as well. Pietro Armani also set to improve, as most of the drivers will go on to the final lap now of this session. Kaz Havercourt slowed up on that last lap as he tried to find a toe. I think that was, are they all going to make it across? Some of them will just about get across. Oh no, Josh Dufek in the gravel. Megatunev goes up into a 6th place. Now, where has that happened? That's going to bring out yellow flags as we come up to the line, and the checkered flag is out. Zagazzetta was improving on that lap. Didn't quite improve though, stayed in 7th place as the checkered flag now waves. And so far, it looks like Lorenzo Fluxa could be on to take, and red flags are out. Well, that's the end of the session. Well, let's see what happened to Josh Dufek. Just got it crossed up coming through the left-hander at Ascari and into the gravel trap, and that has brought out the red flags. That is the end of the session. So, for the second time in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, Dino Beganovic will start from pole position once again. he will start on belt. Back-to-back pole positions. He took the last pole of the season last year. He takes the first pole of the season this year, both at Monza as well. But starting alongside him on the front row will be Lorenzo Fluxa. Brilliant stuff that from Lorenzo Fluxa. His previous best qualifying result was 12th at Catalunya last year. So Lorenzo Fluxa, an improvement of 10 places there. Gabriele Mini will start on the second row. Strong start for him. Likewise, Havercourt, he will start from 6th place on the grid. Boyer will start from 8th place. Capietto will start from 10th place. Megatunif from 12th. Zagazeta will start from 14th. Tramnitz from the 8th row. Van Hoff from the 9th row. Van Hopen from the 10th row. But here is the man who's going to start alongside Dino Begnovic. What a lap from Lorenzo Fluxa. In terms of practice, yesterday, didn't really see him running right towards the front, and he didn't really seem entirely happy with how things had gone yesterday. Finished down the field, finished down in 20th in the second collective test, did Lorenzo Fluxa, and 32nd in the first. So clearly was saving something there. And 147.087, over a tenth and a half quicker than anyone. And he is going to start on the front row. Mini was second, Havercourt was third, Boyer was fourth, Capietto fifth, Megatunif sixth, Zagazeta seventh, Tramnitz eighth, Van Hoff ninth, Van Hopen 10th, Baptiste 11th, Armani 12th, Bernier 13th, Ramos 14th, Donegan 15th, Hahn 16th, Noss 17th, Dufek down in 18th place. Has never qualified in the top 10, Lorenzo Fluxa, since racing in Freca, but now he's going to start on the front row. Let's go through that classification one more time. This is the outside row of the grid and where they'll start. Fluxa will be row 1, Mini row 2, Havercourt row 3, Boyer row 4, Capietto row 5, Megatunif row 6, Zagazeta row 7, Tramnitz row 8, Van Hoff row 9, Van Hopen row 10. Row 11, Baptiste, Armani row 12, then it will be Bernier row 13, row 14, Ramos, row 15, Donegan, Han Chen Yu row 16, Noss row 17, row 18 will be Josh Dufek. Well, the first race of the season will go live at 55 minutes past 3 local time here at Monza. Make sure you join us then to see who can take the first win of the season. For now, though, from all of us here at Monza, it's goodbye.